expert in the subject. So yeah, there will be dates that will be announced, meetups will be launched, communicated over the Slack channel, also on the website.
And on Meetup as
and
well.
on Meetup. Is that a question, or is it more synchronizing on the network? Okay.
I have a maybe a stupid question,
There are
but
two questions.
I'm used to hearing about blockchain in like the financial world with crypto assets and so on. So for me, like a transaction that gets hashed and added to a block and so on is like one transaction, like trading a euro or your Bitcoin or something. How does it? Like, can you just really briefly explain how it works with applications or games? Or is it, yeah.
So, is there somebody from the team that would like to answer that question? Go ahead. It's not a microphone.
But there is a mic.
No, I don't actually need a microphone. So the financial aspect has not been covered in detail in the previous slides. There will be a number of crypto assets. There is the main crypto asset. This is what it's called Pulse. It's called Pulse. And so if you register, depending on the actual decisions of the meetings and the discussions on governance, if you register, you will get some Pulse. You will have in your wallet, you will have Pulse. So you will be able to transact it, to send it to someone, and you'll be able to receive from someone else Pulse. So it's like a unit of account, and it can be potentially also a medium of exchange if you agree with another party. So one of the things that we explored with LëtzBlock is that, for instance, LëtzBlock might want to ask its members for help with, I don't know, after an event, who is cleaning the mugs that have been used to bring coffee in the, right? And if you volunteer to do that, LëtzBlock might decide, the board of LëtzBlock, it's just a stupid example, huh? To reward the people who stayed after the event and cleaned the room, to reward them with some Pulse, which has no monetary value and no promises made that it will ever have, but it's a test and learn construct, right? And so how it will work with games and stuff like that, the best, let's say the quickest, the fastest way to learn is to go to one of the applications that have been shown here, which are currently running on our big sister, the Steam blockchain, because Pulse is a derivative of the Steam blockchain. And there, for instance, you can earn the token of that blockchain, which is called Steam, by blogging if people appreciate what you write. Or by playing a game if, I don't know, there is a game called Drug Wars, which is a port of a very old computer game from the 80s or 90s, not the 90s, yeah? And there you get a tokens of this game by if you play well. I didn't get past the first, but Pablo is a big expert in this game. And yeah, so I think this is...
Also maybe token also can be used, and correct me if I'm wrong, for example, voting rights. This token, it's basically your voting rights, and let's assume there are 4 people who wants to be elected, while you just transfer from your wallet to one of their wallets this specific token, and this is kind of your voting right. So it's not always a coin that you could compare it to some currencies. It's any rights that you could ever imagine, and your imagination is the limit, I would say. And regulatory aspects as well.
So what gets traded on the blockchain is the tokens, basically.
I would not automatically use the term trade. It's more like a fuel to be able to do transactions.
Actually, one of the things that Julian mentioned was advanced crypto economics. Why advanced? Because there are well, in fact 3, but you will be concerned with two our version calls, okay, one is Pulse, and the other is called the Euro, like Euro. And there is an internal market when you can trade the Pulse token versus the Euro token. It's Euro. But again, it's for learning purposes. If you go to the Steam blockchain, you have a market, and then the tokens are called Steam and SBD. And you can trade Steam for SBD and and really do trading like Forex, like currencies. Both are on the Steam blockchain, both are quoted on and traded on crypto exchanges. So you can do arbitrage. You can arbitrage one against the other if you are so inclined.
One more question, thank you. When you see Pulse, and you mentioned another blockchain, Steam, and you mentioned the project at the European level.
Yes.
This was yet another blockchain, or
So
Pulse is the name of
the project at the European level was done with this Pulsar blockchain, which is let's say a progeny of the public permissionless Steam blockchain. A progeny. It's derived from an open source, free to use public blockchain.
And is there a difference between Pulse and Pulsar, or is it the same? Or what?
Pulse is the token, Pulsar is the name of the protocol.
Okay.
What's the level of, how technical savvy do you need to be in order to run your blockchain or be a node?
We hope that we don't need you to be very technical.
I will give you the
I
answer.
won't put the place.
There are two command lines.
Start and stop.
Even I could have done it. I managed to do it, so it's not very technical.
Maybe I have one question.
Are the tokens mineable? And are they, do the nodes they mine?
Mine is what do you mean by mine?
Yeah, well, they maintain the network. Like they validate transactions. They validate, the mining.
Are there block
When you seal a block, so there are in a few words a protocol.
Yeah.
Every 3 seconds a block is validated and added to the existing blockchain. Now who validates? So all of you will have a computer. All of you will have the same state of the blockchain, right? And so there is this delegated proof of stake that Julian has mentioned, decides who is validating each and every block, okay? On various parameters that I don't want to overwhelm you with at this point in time. But imagine you have a computer and it's your turn and you get to validate a block. Like for instance, if you watch carefully the Raspberry Pi, from time to time it validates a block on the EFTG blockchain. You watch it every 3 seconds, it receives a block that has been validated by somebody else, but every X seconds or minutes, it gets to validate itself a block. And when it does that, right, it is rewarded with Pulse token.
Okay, so we're still in proof of work. Yeah, well, yeah, mining. Okay.
You call that mining. You can call it mining. You can call it validating, signing, whatever.
Can you run a node on Windows or you need Linux?
No, we have what in
You can run on Windows with a virtual.
with the Ubuntu subsystem of Windows 10. I've done it and it works.
Maybe one question. What do you need to run a node? Like, what are the commitments that all participants would kind of respect to be able to run a node?
This is the idea. There are no commitments. We want to succeed, so we want to see if we manage to launch it and keep it up and running. It's a typical blockchain, meaning that you get an offer like in Ethereum. Why would you run? I mean, you mined and Pablo mined, and there are people who mine Ethereum. Did you take any commitments towards
No, of
Vitalis?
course, but here it's for Ethereum, for example, you have the objective to get
To get Ether and to get money.
monetary. So here it's clearly at the beginning, at least it's for trading purposes.
It's for trading
so my
purposes.
question was more like what type of device do I need to purchase as a participant? What do I need to do, etc.
I will give you the answer.
Please. Perfect, and explain.
We have here 3 examples.
Yes.
Okay. whatever you choose, you can run a node.
Where can we buy it? So if you
Amazon.
be more
Google search,
expensive.
Amazon,
Amazon, it's on Amazon and
Media, no Media Galaxy, what's the name of
Saturn.
Saturn.
And I guess one of the first trainings that you
Can
will
buy
do
bulk.
is to come together. You would purchase one of those by yourself, and
You
then
might
we
have
would
it.
sit together, and we would help you. Like, well, you will help us.
You can start with your
Explain us how it
own
works.
laptop, but the thing is that the laptop is not the best
I wouldn't
thing to-
recommend to start
No.
the laptop.
Why not? Because that's what I
Because
would
I
like
will
to
tell
do.
you what will happen. We'll run for a few days, and you will need to restart it. You will get a freeze, something, because a laptop is not designed to work 24 hours.
Okay, good.
Okay? Or you can run it with it 1 month, and after 1 month you need to change the cooler. Okay?
There's one question over there.
In terms of commitments, we will have some meeting, we will see and discuss this thing. Just the meeting, you know which day it is and how much?
We're going to send you a schedule, like for the month. The idea, in terms of session, it would be one every 3 to 4 weeks. Basically, this is what we agreed, because I believe it's kind of a fair commitment from you guys. I know we are all busy, but one per month, I guess it's feasible.
From my point of view,
There are
If-
no specific
if
dates
we
for
have
now,
here
but we
10
will.
people,
will
that
share-
will say, we have it, a Raspberry Pi, a NUC, or a virtual server, we have it, and we want to meet
My point
to
is just
install it.
if we can choose maybe together which day.
With the doodle, yes.
Yes, because we are not available each day of the week. So.
Yeah, I know, but I just, well, this needs to be discussed, but I guess no one would be able to be here if we ask everyone, so I guess it would be more, on a class. So if there is a class, you want to attend, then you make sure that you are available. So the idea is that we would plan further in advance so that you can.
You could record it or do a web
Yes, we
conference,
will try to.
something
Yes,
like that.
we will try to record it, and web conference. It's an excellent idea. Yes.
Why did you choose Steam over any other blockchain?
It's a very good question,
Yes.
because it was easy to start with it.
Okay.
Based on a selection matrix that we used in our previous project, we decided that for that specific project at that moment in time was the best choice.
When did you start the project?
2 years ago.
For example, what you said before, when you laptop it's turned off or restarts, is this a big problem? What happens if you are not online also with these devices?
It's not a big
How
problem.
many people must be connected all the time, a minimum or?
This will be decided in our governance meeting. If we decide that we need minimum 10 people, we start the Genesis 5 with 10 people.
At this moment,
At this moment
it's 21.
That's only
Out of the
21.
box is
Might
21.
be 30, might be 50, depends.
And you can define this. It's not a
Yeah.
technical requirement.
We can
We
modify it in the
modify,
Genesis
yes.
5.
And if
We've done it.
everyone would be offline, what would happen?
The network will freeze.
Yeah, the network will
And we
freeze.
restart again when enough members will be online.
But the idea is that all of the board members would ensure to have it always online. Let's see if it's possible, so that we have a core.
Yes.
We have a basement, and we plan to put there a Raspberry Pi. A wall of Raspberry Pis.
51%.
There is one question over there.
Okay?
Sorry, I'm not sure about the disclaimer on GDPR. So basically, you accept that, so we would accept that LëtzBlock registers us in their internal register.
Yes.
And is a data controller and also data processor. What does it mean?
These are GDPR terms.
That it is funny because
It's legal.
I guess it's a template
just
we use, right?
It's
Well-
data processor is the people who just
Collect.
manage the data and
okay, but what is done with the data? what do you?
You need, first, when you are a member of an association, there is a basic legal obligation of the association is to keep track of all its members. There are a certain number of information that by law you need to have, and it's this information that are generally collected in the subscription document for the association. And for this one, clearly, LëtzBlock is the owner. Of course, if you participate to certain events, you will be listed as participating to the events. So, the events, the data, it will be stated that your name, you did participate to the event on date X, Y, and Z. It's only normally this type of data that will be collected by LëtzBlock. Of course, in the context of the project, it will be different because it will be part of the blockchain. What you decide to put in the blockchain or to make available through the ledger will be available to all participants.
Okay, so it will be visible for all the participants.
But it will be visible in the way it is in a blockchain. So generally, you will have your public key with the hash and things like that. And it really depends on how it's probably what you put in your in the hash. So maybe it's the name of the transaction. They should, or the app, or so on and so forth. There is not automatically your name in it, and it's a training tool. So to a certain extent, we would not expect someone to put a lot of personal data, except they won't be your.
We have to restrain ourselves on the amount of information.
Like for every database or tool you are using, you are responsible of what you put in Google, Facebook, and so on, and you can configure it and decide. So, to a certain extent, the personal data available will depend on you to a certain extent, and what LëtzBlock will collect depends on what the law requires and what they need to manage the association, and it's also attendance to events and things like that. I don't think it will be far more than that, but of course when you're in a blockchain environment, it means that what you put on the blockchain, and if it's not off the chain.
Just to add more clarity here, we don't need your data to run this experiment. We don't need it. From a technical point of view, we don't need it. So,
it's just in case to prevent legal.
If you want to write something on it, it's up to you.
But to participate, you just need to give us your name.
Participate, okay.
Yeah, because you need to be a member.
Yeah, sure, no, but I'm just trying to understand the disclaimer.
Yeah.
No, the thing is that you will, if you want to start a validating node, you will receive a witness key, right? A pair of keys, private, public. So LëtzBlock in its registers, you are registered as a member, they have your name. In their registers, they will associate your name with the private key. So when a block is sealed by your witness, they will know that that block was sealed by you as a person, because otherwise, I mean, in Bitcoin or in Ethereum, nobody knows who's behind the key, right? If you manage to mine a block of Ethereum, for instance, the only thing that will be seen there is the key of your miner, right? Public key of your miner. Nobody can say who is that was running that computer who managed to seal it. Here, because we want to experiment with the legally compliant blockchain, if the police knocks because, where is the dog? Because this is our private joke, because someone has put naked pictures of Apple the dog on the blockchain, imagine, for example, LëtzBlock needs to be able to say, this block has been sealed by this key which belongs to that person. That's the idea.
I mean, the question is interesting because there's no answer to it. The blockchain, by definition, is immutable. So as long as the thing is that if you insert personal data in blockchain, you cannot erase it, and that's the whole point of the blockchain. Otherwise, it's just a database. And there is the problem is that Well, what happens if you want to retrieve data? What happens if you decide to, and the GDPR allows you to erase that data? The thing is that what GDPR allows and what is technically possible is actually not compatible.
Here, and this is kind of a discussion we will have, I guess, in the governance session, to determine, okay, to which extent do we agree to disclose our personal data. And for those of you who would not agree with these rules, then maybe you would not play the same way as the others, and it's fine. Just that it's part of the experiment. Yeah?
What is the relation, the dependence between Pulsar and Steam? Is it a fork, a copy, which is like? And the same question with Pulsar and FTG.
It's not a fork.
Can you come here so that
It's not a
it's
not a fork of Steam. It's just a modified version of Steam. Not a fork. We don't fork the public blockchain. We use the open source protocol. We modified some things in it to adapt for our needs. Other things can be modified as well based on our discussion. Okay, and we have a new result.
And basically, this is what we're going to do with the LëtzBlock blockchain, right?
Exactly.
It's just that we use an open source protocol.
Exactly.
So for example, these 3 seconds, did you define that time? Or was
Yes, we define it. We can decide to be 10 seconds, to be 1 second. It's up to us.
Or 1 minute.
We apply the principle if it ain't broken, don't fix it. It's the same as on the Steam blockchain. We kept it like that because there were no compelling reasons to change it. We can change it if we want to, but if it works, it has worked for 4 years in Steam.
Yeah.
Why
So
change it?
It's 3 seconds older for the
Yeah.
Steam.
That's the main
Which
idea.
Raspberry Pi and distribution you use for the project?
Which Raspberry Pi we use?
And
Which
the
one?
distribution.
3B.
It's free. Oh wow.
3B, yeah.
It's not even a full, so
The
it's
distribution.
really not
Yeah,
resources.
I don't know. I will tell you. We will check. I don't know.
The distribution you use?
Sorry?
The distribution you use for...
Ubuntu 16, I think.
Yeah, you can use any 64 bits distribution.
Any Linux is one. We use Ubuntu 16, I think.
Right.
Which, could you repeat? I didn't.
It's Ubuntu 16.
Oh, okay.
You want it to ask us, right?
And yeah, can you interact with the Steam blockchain?
No.
From the Pulse blockchain?
Yeah.
No, there are no
Two
bridges.
different networks, 2 different projects, 2
Yeah.
different, something different.
No.
Like we use the Oracle database in one project, Oracle database modified in a different project, and so on. There is
The wallet there are software on there's an app for the wallet, or there is it should be.
Actually, this is the beautiful part, is that basically most of the software that has been developed for the Steam blockchain is open source.
Okay.
And people who have the skills, the developer skills, they go just to GitHub and they port it to the Pulsar blockchain. That's a very powerful thing for what we did. For instance, if you type eftg.eu, you see the eftg application, right? But if you type condenser.eftg.eu, you will find a clone of Steemit on top of the eftg blockchain. Why? Because it's the same protocol. So you already have a blogging platform for the Pulse blockchain.
Stop me if I am wrong, but if I understand, technically we will do again what we do with FTG.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah. What we've done with the FTG, we do it for LëtzBlock.
Technically, after with the governance, we can do what we
Absolutely, it can evolve in a completely different direction. It has nothing to do with the FTG because it answers to different questions. It fulfills different objectives.
Would you provide offline documentation so we can start or install a system and have some background information?
Yes.
It sounds
we
like
will.
that.
Not yet, but it will be ASAP.
When can we look for it?
I think after the holidays, end of February, beginning of March.
The first step would be to express your intention.
Yeah, exactly. First, you need to register.
I want to
LëtzBlock as being interested.
This experiment. I have one device, or I don't have it. I need 2 weeks to have it. It's okay. And after we see how many people we are, we organized a technical session, a governance session, documentation session.
Yeah. One thing that hasn't been stressed, I think here we spoke a lot about physical devices. There can be people who might find it easier because you have vouchers and offers to start with AWS or Azure. You take a free month from them just to try it out, and you start with the virtual server.
Don't promote. Why? Why are you?
Okay, I haven't said anything. You should buy a device.
I like my device.
What is the block size and the bandwidth every 3 seconds? How much bandwidth is being used?
Every block is 65 kilobytes. So
Okay.
So it's not very.
So it's not huge.
I wouldn't do it on my
Phone.
roaming on my roaming plan. But
When do you consider that the network is decentralized? How many nodes? How many participants? How do you define this?
This will be a question for LëtzBlock. It's their system. It's not a clone of Ethereum. It's not a clone of Bitcoin. It's a community blockchain. So it has to be as decentralized as LëtzBlock wants it to decentralize it.
But personally, when do you consider that blockchain is really decentralized? It's when every node, every participant gets the same voting rights, or
No, that has nothing to do with our internal compass. Let's say we'd like to have at least 30 different persons running nodes.
Okay.
Persons, not
No.
nodes, because one person can
Devices.
run multiple nodes. Huh?
Right.
We hope to achieve 30 physical persons running as many nodes as they want. If you want to run 5, you can run 5.
Would it be possible to make forks? So to have several currencies for several uses?
That's a question for later. It's a very advanced
Initially,
question.
there will not be monetary value.
No, but of course, but currencies in the sense of unit of account.
Yes.
At the beginning, there are 2 units of account, the one called EUR and the one called Pulse.
But for example, for smart contracts, we could
Yes,
experience with
yeah.
that.
It's a
and
question we
need something
anticipated, but
different.
it's, let's say, too complex for the first meetup.
We made me think of a question actually. You have a lot of raspberries in your basement, right? So I never thought of that, but if you run a blockchain and you've got 10 participants, and all of a sudden I come with 11 raspberries, and I run a 51% attack.
No, there is no proof of work, there is no 51%
right,
attack.
okay.
That consensus is completely different.
Okay.
You can come with 100 raspberries, so you won't get us to sign a block. Because LëtzBlock will not vote for your witnesses. The governance is completely different. It's not 51%. It's not proof of work. So you can come with as many raspberries as you want. You will still be there, not making any block if they don't want you to.
can you expand a tiny bit about this governance, or you save it for later?
After pizza?
Okay.
Is the pizza clear?
Let's keep going a few more minutes.
Okay.
So there is a little
So
more,
there is the mechanism is based on a kind of a representative democracy, where you have a voting power, and you allocate that voting power to a number of witnesses. So there can be, for instance, 400 witnesses. They all get synchronized, so they all get the blocks, the blockchain, the status of the blockchain. They all have the same copy of the blockchain, right? But then there is a mechanism to see whose turn it is to actually sign each and every block, one after the other, right? And this depends on the votes that each and every witness has received from what we call in our version the owners of the blockchain. So the owners of the blockchain have a certain amount of voting power, and they say, I want the second computer of Mr. Der, because I know it's a Nook. He also has 5 raspberries, but I don't trust the raspberries. He has 4 raspberries and 1 Nook. We know that because we have written his name associated with these keys in our register LëtzBlock, right? Say I want his Nook to make blocks, and I want his VPS to make blocks, and I want also his to make blocks. And they allocate And they even can say how often they do blocks. And if, for instance, he comes with 100 raspberries or whatever, he can be there, he can connect if he has registered the raspberries and received the keys, but because he has been nasty to the dog, for instance, okay, he doesn't get to actually sign a block. So it's based on voting and, yeah, it's a representative democracy.
But isn't it kind of centralized then if you have a...
It is centralized, it is the IT system of LëtzBlock. It is, let's say, a mix between centralized and decentralized because it's not one decision maker, it's a community, it's a organization with several heads that have to decide how they divide the decision making inside them. So it's, let's say, somewhere on the continuum between completely decentralized like Bitcoin on Ethereum and the public blockchains and the IT systems of the corporations, which are completely centralized. There is one decision maker usually, the boss.
But the they and the you that you talk about, it should only be you, because the governance of it is you,
exactly.
and you as a member of LëtzBlock
Absolutely.
are the governing body.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. You are part of the people. We, the people of LëtzBlock.
One question regarding the governance. So everybody will have the same power or level of vote, or the founding member will be more powerful and can decide so to, let's say, impose a vote because you have more vote? Or?
That will depend on the second, on the first phase, where we are going to have, first of all, an introduction of the technology, and then also the governance session, where all these kind of issues will be presented, where the legal limitations for LëtzBlock as an association lie, and then you guys will have to decide on the parameters given all the elements presented. So there's no answer today.
Can you technically change the result of the vote? You can
No, that's not the point.
In our basement?
Yeah.
Oh. No.
Ah, okay. Because you don't have 51%, right? So I don't know if you can...
It's a record, it's a immutable record. Immutable in the sense that, in the same sense as Ethereum, meaning that if the LëtzBlock board decides that something bad happened, and like in the DAO, okay, an event in 2016, here it's a LëtzBlock controlled blockchain. So if the board of LëtzBlock, with the majority, with their ways of governing the organization, the LëtzBlock, they decide that something bad happened and they have to, I don't know, restart the blockchain, erase it or something like that, they can do it. But not on one person cannot do it. No individual person can do it.
There are also questions that have to be explored. Okay. Currently, the board is composed of 9 members. The board has the responsibility of what happens within the association. And we are going to explore how far we can push things while remaining within the legal boundaries. Okay. So, yeah, how far can we go in bear a collective responsibility? For example, all open questions and exciting parts of this experiment.
Yeah, maybe that was also my question. If you have any idea already in mind how big the ambition is, it to, okay, you start maybe with 30 people or minimum, do you even have the ambition to be bigger, to reach more people in Luxembourg or even beyond Luxembourg, or is it all up to us?
Yeah, exactly. You're giving the answer yourself. It depends on so what we consider to be our role is to make sure that this project is animated, that there is a written that is maintained. So we will do our utmost best to to have his project dynamized. But then it all depends on you, what you do with it, what you decide as a community. And possibly you decide to venture, if legally possible, outside Luxembourg. I don't know, maybe we connect with other blockchain associations in Europe and see what can be done there.
LëtzBlock, for instance, extend it to Germany.
Yeah, or France Block Tech.
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Regarding the nodes and how you are chosen to mine the next block, is it based on power or on something completely different?
It's based on the third token, which is called pulse power, yes.
It's based on power.
Yes, it's based on power, and it's represented by the third token that I mentioned. There are 3 native tokens.
Okay.
And the third token is
so that means that okay, so if you have a very powerful machine, you will
No. No. The pulse power is distributed at the beginning.
Okay.
And they will be
Let's not confuse.
Yeah.
So the power, processing power is one thing, we don't care about it. It's Raspberry Pi, can be the only one miner in the network. Okay? The voting power, the weighting of your account, the voting power, the weighting of your witness is what it matters. This
And it has nothing to do
the
with the
naming
power
power
of
is
the machine.
confusing.
Yeah, the power is confusing indeed.
Okay, I would like food is coming, so I would suggest that we close here. Of course, there are still open questions over the pizza, so
You will have more trouble to understand our answers while.
So to summarize, so if you want to participate, please go to our website, and there is a specific web page for the participation. You just click, and if you're already a member, it's quite easy. If not, please register as a member first, and then we will communicate via Slack and also Meetup and on our website what's going on, the future sessions, governance, the technical aspects, and so on. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, guys.